Staying with comedy, but this time with a real comic, there has been uproar after Peter Kay had 2 hecklers removed from a show he had in Manchester. Now, one of the hecklers, a woman called Maya Curran, well, she was so humiliated. She was so humiliated by being asked to leave that she went straight on to national TV to attack Peter Kay. Now, I can speak on this because I had the pleasure of opening for Peter at one of his first ever shows in Belfast. It was down in Custom House Square, and it was a big tent, and it was a great show. It was a brilliant show. And I found him to be a lovely man whose comedic genius was matched uniquely by a touching humility. I remember I walked into the dressing room and he was sitting in the corner of the dressing room with a wee notebook going through his notes going, this is all shite, this is all shite, this is all shite. Now, he just finished his first ever series of Phoenix Nights, so while he was well known, he had yet to become the biggest stand-up comic in the country, or any country, right? So on that particular night, when I opened for him, I did quite well. I have to say, I done quite well. And I came off stage and Peter joked, it's all right for you, you're a local. Now, I did point out to him that the 1,000+ people out there, well, they hadn't come to see me. They'd come to see him. And of course, when it came his turn to go out, he did one of the most brilliant stand-up shows I've ever seen, ending off with a well-deserved 10-minute standing ovation from the audience. So the issue of hecklers is different. It's different dependent not just on the comic, but on the venue. Now, I have compared clubs all over the place. I compared a club in Belfast for 20 years. And I've had just about every heckle you can imagine hurled at me. Now, in my case, I love them. I like that interaction. But, and this is a big but, and it's a big, big but, there comes a point when the interaction has to stop so you get on with the comedy. Because if it doesn't, then what the audience experiences is a drunk man, usually, not exclusively, but usually a drunk man, shouting inanities and interrupting the show. And before you accuse me of just being a comic defending another comic, let me explain some of the mechanics and logistics of heckling. Now, the largest venue I play is the Ulster Hall. That seats 1,000 people. Now, with that number, when someone heckles, I can still isolate. I can still pinpoint where they are. And more importantly, the rest of the audience will have heard what they have shouted and then will understand my response. And you can have a bit of crack. It's no big deal. Peter Kay was playing the Manchester Arena, which has a 21,000 capacity. There is no way he'd be able to isolate where the heckles are coming from, much less reacting to them or the audience hearing them. Now, so what Peter Kay on the night in question, what he did, he had to balance dealing with the heckler, but not allowing them to spoil the night for the other 299, whatever it was, 1,000 people who'd paid a hefty ticket price to come and listen to him, not to listen to some drunk shouting at him. And I guarantee you, if the audience had been canvassed at the end of the show, not one of them would have been critical of his decision to have the hecklers removed. Indeed, as for the hecklers, I have no sympathy. If they'd kept their mouths shut like everybody else in the audience, they'd have been allowed to stay. Better still, and this is the bottom line, if they genuinely think they're that funny, then rather than rudely interrupting a professional comic doing his job, let them have the balls to go along to one of the many comedy clubs, get up onto the stage and try to do it themselves. Now, personally, I only have one show remaining in this year's tour in the Ardone Theatre in Enniskillen, me and Mr. Terry McHugh, this coming Saturday, the 22nd of February. That's the end of the tour. So, if you feel inclined to get a wee heckle, if you want to come and heckle me, be my guest. But be forewarned, I've been dealing with hecklers for decades. Not only will you not win, but I promise you, I will humiliate you so badly, you'll be praying that security come to take you away.